right, well now we've come back to where we're going to talk a little bit about hair. And hair can be pretty intimidating too. And I think the reason why it's so intimidating, when people see hair, they think, oh my goodness, there's thousands of hairs on this head. How in the world do we draw it? Well, we don't literally draw every single line. We focus on simple sections first. Now, let me talk about all hair, guy or girl, whatever. When you have hair, hair is always going to come in toward the temple, whether you're a guy or whether you're a girl. One mistake I'll see that people make is they want to take the hair and they want to bring it straight up here all the way around. So it makes the person look like they're Benjamin Franklin, like they're really, really bald on the side. But all hair comes in. And sometimes this is hidden. Sometimes we don't see where the hair comes in toward the temple, but it is. Now, if it's a guy, okay, the guy might have sideburns, okay, and the hair, when you draw short hairs on the sideburns, you just kind of follow the direction of the hair and make it look natural. If they have blonde hair, you use light lines and fewer lines. If they have dark hair, you make some lines darker and lighter than others, so there's a little variety to it. You don't want every hair being the same. But you can kind of create and make it look natural. You don't want to just go in and zigzag hair all over the place or just draw spaghetti noodles everywhere. You want to try to be as accurate as you can. Now, before we go in and talk about how to draw the hair, let's talk about the size of the hair. Because what we drew first, we drew a bald head. We used a bald head to kind of help us get proportions down, and that's probably what you're going to do for some of your assignments. But we're going to have to add hair to the top of the head. Well, the first thing we need to know is how much forehead is visible. Some people have a hairline that comes right down to their eyebrows or past their eyebrows. Well, that doesn't take any imagination. We just see, hey, it comes down to their eyebrows or just a little bit above their eyebrows, and we can just guess. But if they have a taller forehead, we need to know how tall that is. We could just guess at it, but chances are either we'll make the hairline way too low and they'll look like their head's cut off, or we'll make it way too high and make it look like they're bald. So when you're looking at the person that you're drawing, and we're not looking at a real person today, we would take our pencil and we put our pencil tip at where their hair meets their head, whether it be bangs or whether it be a part up here. We would say, how far is it from where their hair meets their forehead to the eye level line, which could be the middle of the eye or in between the eyes, depending on whether you're doing bangs here or if it sweeps up into a part. You could say, I'm going to measure this part. Well, once you measure where the hair meets the head down to the eye level line, compare that distance from the chin up. Will it be from the chin to almost the middle of the bridge of the nose? Would it be from the chin to the bottom of the nose or the middle of the bottom part of the nose? Will it be to halfway in between the chin, from the chin to halfway between the lips and the nose? What is the distance from here to where it meets, the hair meets the forehead, whether it be in a part or a bang? And what would that compare to down here in this part of the drawing? That's what's going to give you a guess. So some people might have a hairline that's really, really low, like this. Some other people might have a hairline that's really, really high, like this. Again, it just depends on the person. So you always compare where the eye level line is to where the hair meets the forehead, and then compare it to the lower half of the face from the chin to where? Bottom of the nose, bottom of the lip, or where? Then you come back to your drawing and say, okay, this is where it was on the real person. Oh, that's where my hairline ought to be on my drawing. So that's what's going to kind of tell you how much of a forehead they have. Now the second part is how much length does hair add to the head. Remember, the eyes are halfway down on a bald head when you're looking at someone eye to eye. Okay? If any half of the head was going to be taller, it's actually the top half of the head, because hair will always add height if they have hair at all. Okay? Now, of course, if the person is looking up at you or you're looking down at them, it'll change the proportions. But other than that, this top half of the head is always going to be taller. So what we want to do is we would take our pencil and we put our pencil tip at the top of the hair, whether we're holding it out at a distance and looking at the person and say, okay, here are my pencil tips at your hair, and I'm going to put my thumb where your hair meets your forehead. Okay, great. Or whether it be a drawing and you say, okay, their hair is up here, and I'm going to pinch it off where their hair meets their forehead. And after you measure that with your pencil, you're going to pull your pencil down and say, okay, from the chin, where does my pencil tip hit? Does it hit the middle of my nose? Does it hit the bottom? Does it hit in between the eyes? If they have a lot of hair, they could have a ton of hair added to their bald head, if they have really poofy hair. So it's just going to depend on the person. always cite that distance. So they could have hair that adds that much length to the bald head, or they could have that much hair that adds length to the bald head. Also, when we draw this upside down egg, that might mean that it adds more volume to the sides of their head as well, depending on whether they have short hair or long hair. Now let's actually talk about how in the world do we start drawing hair. Well, what I like to do is I like to look for sections. I like to look for clumps of hair. So when I look at someone's hair, I look at shapes. Like if someone had tresses of hair, let's say it's, I don't know, let's say that it's a guy, and he's got hair that kind of drapes down onto his head. What I might do is I might look for one section of his hair for now. I don't draw all the details in there yet. Then I say, okay, where's another one? Okay, maybe he's got another section right beside it that comes up like so. But maybe over here, he's got just maybe like a little piece that kind of goes up like this. Well, once I have got, and I can erase away these guidelines, by the way, I don't need those anymore. But once I have got those, I can go back in and say, okay, if he's got blonde hair, I don't need to add a lot of lines. I'll just add in a few. I'll add some light lines. I kind of follow the curves that are already there. And I might come in and make a couple of them darker, or maybe add a few in, because sometimes people have like darker sections of their hair and lighter sections of their hair. And it starts to look more like hair. I don't have to draw every single hairline in, but I do want it to look kind of finished, whatever you end up deciding to do. If they have got really, really long hair, for instance, okay, maybe they've got hair that travels down, covers up their eyebrow. It might even cover up their ear, and it comes on down to here, like so. And maybe this is a long, thin tress of hair. And I wouldn't go in and fill in every single detail right away. I would go ahead and draw every shape that I could see of the hair. And then after I looked for those, and they would come in behind the hair. And one mistake people make is sometimes people will draw hair here on the side and they leave this empty as if they have no hair behind their head. Well, if they have long hair coming down, they're going to have probably a lot of hair back in here, and it's going to be really, really close together to make it look like that there's depth back here. This is maybe the lower part, behind part of their hair. But then I can go back in and I can add in some lines. And again, even if they have dark hair, there might be sections that are lighter. So I might come in and say, you know what? There's a highlight in part of this hair. And I want to make it look more natural, like so. Like that. Other things you could do, like if they had really, really short hair, if they had a burr, you could use almost like a stippling technique a little bit. That's for some people. You could, if a person had, let's say, a bun or maybe a ponytail holder, what you would do is, again, you would cite the hair. You might have like some kind of like, scrunchie or some kind of hair ring here, and then maybe there's an actual like bun back here, and that hair is going to curve in a direction like this if they had, let's say, a bun, on their head. And you could add in more hair if you needed to. If they have facial hair, if it's just beard stubble, you could just put in, a few little dots here and there to suggest that. If they had more detailed facial hair, like let's say a little bit of a beard, you could, look at the direction of the hair, follow it in, like so. And it would start to look a little more natural, a little more like a beard. You would look for the mustache line. You could always suggest the shape of it first, and then go in, add in some light hair, and make it, darker in places, but you'd want a little bit of variety in there. Now, let's talk about glasses real quick, and then we may talk about a few other features if we have time. If you're doing glasses, what I like to do, I like to draw the shape of the eyeglasses on one side of their head, I try to get that shape down. I look at it, see if it's square or rectangular or what have you, and I try to make sure it's the same. I'm only going to draw it on one half of the head. If they're wearing plastic lenses, it's pretty simple. You just come on over like so, add thickness to it. You can always go in and shade it in. If it's just, maybe they only have metal on the top, and maybe this lens is just hanging there because there's like a little wire inside of it. Well, you wouldn't have a double line. You would just have one line for the lens because maybe the wire is inside of the glasses. The nose piece, pay attention to like where it is. Is it, is it plastic? Is it going to go all the way across here like so? Is there a plastic piece that rests on the nose? Is it like clear? Is it dark? Is it built in to this nose piece? And then there's usually going to be like a little piece that sticks out flat like this that's facing you. And then maybe this part goes to where the ears are. And usually it'll go up. It won't go down like it is in this drawing. Usually it goes upward. I probably do this a little too high. But it'll usually go to the top of the ear and disappear. And sometimes hair will cover it up. As far as making this look like glass, you could take your eraser and lighten this a little bit, but boy, you've done a lot of work on these eyes. So think about that. If you do draw some of the glasses, you may want to just go really lightly with the eyes so they look like they're behind the glass. Or if you really want to show the details of that, you could even just take a couple of light lines like this and kind of give it a suggestion that, hey, that looks like glass. It's kind of comic book style, but that would work. All right. I think this concludes most of our drawing demo. I might do one more video that talks a little bit about the realities of faces when they don't face you directly.